What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Alex Pereira reveals next UFC fight. In the co-main event of UFC 291, former two-division Glory kickboxing champion Alex Pereira made his UFC light heavyweight debut, defeating Jan Blachowicz via split decision. After dropping the first round, Pereira was able to edge out the next two on the judges' scorecards to earn a pivotal win and set himself up for a light heavyweight title fight. In the wake of the victory, Pereira spoke with Sports Illustrated to discuss the next step in his career. Speaking through a translator, the former middleweight champion was quoted as saying, "It was agreed that this was going to be a title elimination fight. The UFC is happy with my performance. The crowd likes my fights. I'm confident that I'll be fighting for the belt by the end of the year." With the light heavyweight belt currently sitting vacant after Jamal Hill's horrific injury sustained last month, all signs are pointing to Pereira and Jiri Prochazka competing for the vacant title later this year, when the Czech Samurai is ready to return to the octagon. With Leon Edwards and Colby Covington expected to fight at UFC 295 in November, a fight between Prochazka and Pereira could wind up landing on the UFC 296 card in December. Given that the two men seem to be on a collision course with one another, we want to hear from you. Who do you think winds up capturing UFC gold when Jiri Prochazka and Alex Pereira compete inside the octagon? Drop your predictions in the comment section down below. UFC Fight Updates. Although Jack Della Maddalena was eager to compete in Sydney at UFC 293, it seems as though fans down under may not have the chance to see the streaking contender compete on September 10th. According to a Twitter user, BrendaMan2001, who has previously broken news regarding fighters from Australia and New Zealand, the UFC could wind up pulling JDM and rescheduling him for a fight in Vegas later this year. When one fan asked whether Joaquin Buckley was still interested in the fight, the source replied saying that every opponent offered the fight was looking for a bonus to compete in Australia. With the UFC unwilling to meet the demands, it sounds as though hope is fading for JDM to find an opponent in time. Next up, we have a report regarding a heavyweight clash between Dante Almeida and Rodrigo Nascimento. The fight is set to take place on November 4th, with the event rumored to take place in Sao Paulo. However, the location of the fight has yet to be finalized. The fight will see Nascimento look to build on a recent win streak that has seen him pick up back-to-back split decision victories. Interestingly enough, the fight is a rematch from 2020, where Nascimento picked up a second-round submission win over Mays. Since then, Mays has gone 3-1 inside the octagon, recently TKOing Andrei Arlovski back in June to return to the win column after a unanimous decision loss to Augusto Sakai in February. Sean O'Malley talks Aljamain Sterling fight. With less than 2 weeks to go until Sugar Sean O'Malley and Aljamain Sterling stepped into the octagon to fight for the bantamweight gold in Boston, final preparations are underway in the O'Malley camp, with the streaking #1 contender putting an emphasis on dieting as he makes the cut down to a championship weight of 135 pounds. During a recent episode of the Timbo Sugar Show, the #1 contender spoke about the fight, talking about his upcoming week of dieting, while theorizing about how his opponent was handling the cut.
I've been craving too much. My weight's really good right now. I'd love to see what Alja's weighing. I'm sure he's just going to be miserable the next couple of weeks. But you see that video of him that he posted? Looking absolutely just shredded. Those are the genes of a god. He's in his prime, baby.
For his part, the Funkmaster seems to be making easy work of his cut. After recently posting a photo on social media of some dessert, the champ has continued to post photos looking absolutely shredded. After one fan referred to O'Malley's doubts about the champ's weight cut, Aljamain Sterling himself responded, writing, "Big facts, he made his bed, and I'ma help him lay in it." With the fight rapidly approaching, we want to hear from you. Who do you think captures bantamweight gold in Boston? Drop your predictions in the comment section below. Charles Oliveira reveals crazy news. After picking up a big win over Beneil Dariush, Charles Oliveira found himself in position to compete for the lightweight title. Although the hope was that he and Islam Makhachev would have a highly anticipated rematch in Abu Dhabi at UFC 294, Oliveira initially said he would not be ready to fight until November or December. When the news came out that Oliveira and Makhachev would fight at UFC 294, many fans wondered what changed for the former champ. As he explained through a translator on a recent episode of the MMA Hour, he was simply trying to work a business angle to get the fight on the UFC's rumored Sao Paulo card in November. What changed is just that I learned how to play. Now I'm playing. I knew the UFC was planning to maybe have a fight in Brazil in November, so I was trying to push it to November, so I was playing with them. Obviously it didn't work, so now I'm fighting in October. With the talk of Oliveira's injury simply being negotiation tactics, it sounded as though the former champ will be entering his upcoming fight with Islam Makhachev at 100%. The question now is whether or not he can reclaim the lightweight title. Before we continue, make sure you give that like button some love, and be sure to subscribe to the MMA Zone for all of the latest news. Aljamain Sterling goes off on Cory Sandhagen. Cory Sandhagen has fielded quite a bit of criticism for his grappling-heavy game plan in the main event of UFC Fight Night Nashville. Although he sustained an elbow injury in the first round that will keep him sidelined for 6 months, many members of the MMA community have continued to heap the criticism on the Sandman. During a recent video for his YouTube channel, bantamweight champion Aljamain admitted that while he put some fault on Font for being unable to get back to his feet, he wanted to see more action. Following up a tweet from the night of the fight where he took shots at Sandhagen, he stated,
"But Cory was in a position to be offensive, and he chose not to be. It's one of the things I can't agree with Cejudo when he was watching the tape saying, like, this is not it." And I gotta agree, that wasn't the performance. And again, short notice for both guys, so I'm trying to be fair, trying to be reasonable, but that's just not how you get it done. I really expected a lot more fireworks or a little bit more exchanges.
For his part, Sandhagen has continued to defend the win while citing the last-minute change of opponents and the serious elbow injury sustained in the first round as contributing factors in the lackluster performance. He spoke on Monday's episode of the MMA Hour about the criticism from Cejudo.
You know, Henry can say what he wants, but he was granted a golden gift by even getting the title shot initially anyways, and he lost. So, you know, like, you're 1 or 2 fights behind now.
With Sandhagen likely headed to surgery, only time will tell what the bantamweight title picture looks like when he's ready to return. Kevin Holland calls out Shavkat Rakhmonov. Kevin Holland has kept up an impressive pace of schedule in recent years. After picking up a Darce choke win over Michael Chiesa at UFC 291 to make it 2 straight this year, Holland is eager to get back in the octagon and compete against a top-ranked contender. With Shavkat Rakhmonov looking for a replacement opponent for September 16th, Holland has expressed his desire to step in and compete on short notice. While speaking with the Schmo, he weighed in on the potential fight, saying,
and then I see that Kelvin Gastelum was out with a little bit of a gash over the face, and they have the Shavkat, however you say his name.
Shavkat Rakhmonov.
Yeah. Dude's a beast. Dude's undefeated, another undefeated guy. So it's like, I'll step up and take that last second fight as well. I just need my normal pay and a taco truck. That's all I need.
Given his willingness to fight anyone on short notice, it's safe to say that if the UFC winds up tapping him to step in, he'll likely get a bonus on the side. With Holland eager to step in, it seems as though the ball is now in the UFC's court. TJ Dillashaw UFC return. When TJ Dillashaw announced that he would be retiring from MMA, many fans expected that he would return to the octagon in the future. Despite the fact that he has serious soldier surgery on the horizon, Dillashaw believes he's still the best bantamweight on the planet. Speaking on a recent episode of the Jackson podcast with Rampage Jackson, he stated,
"I know that I'm still the best guy in the weight class. By far, I believe I'm the best guy in the weight class, and for the sport to be taken from me the way that it was, it just doesn't sit well with me, you know? So it kind of pisses me off."
How old are you now?
Yeah, shoulder's good, man. I have to get back in there. I can't let it go out the way it did.
I see that in you. Yeah.
According to the former champ, every doctor that he's met with has been doubtful that he can repair his shoulder to the point that he can compete again. As a result, Dillashaw says that he can't help but feel bitter when he's around the sport after being forced to retire due to the injury. As he prepares to undergo surgery, a return to the octagon seems to be very much at the forefront of the former champ's mind.